Can we talk for a second? Here's this video. This is neck sets. On acoustic guitars, if you trade in a guitar, you're going to find sometimes that people will look at the guitar and they're worried about the neck set. So let's go over that really quick. And I've got a few examples here. Let's say you have a guitar and the string is on it and the string is pulling all this tension like this, hard. And what happens is the neck comes forward like this. And you can tell because the neck starts coming loose back here. It starts pulling out and the action raises. So your saddle is all the way down, but your action is high. What do? Well, here's what you do, Bubby. And I have some examples here, but what you're doing is you're going to shave away a little of this, and the neck, which is doing this, you're going to shave it away and get it up like that. Now, I'm exaggerating because we're doing a video, and it's really about 3 degrees. And you want to take a guitar that, exaggerated, is doing this and kind of caving in on it. You've brought your saddle down, but the action is still quite high. You need to bring the action up. To do that, it's like a cantilever, and I'm not going to get into how close it should be, but you're going to take off a little bit of the heel and bring the neck up. Now, I have this Gretsch we just took in. It's a great example. The bridge is down quite a bit, but the action is still pretty high. I mean, it's just awful. And if the camera can look in, you can see there's a bunch of goop in there. Somebody had done this neck set and did kind of a poor job of gluing it. So we made sure that it isn't a permanent thing, and we're going to go back in here and we're going to reset the neck. Look at this. This is pretty cool. This is a 1956 Country Club. This will be back with us in about 12 weeks. Why? Because when you take the neck out, you got to take out the glue. You're going to take out all this glue joint area here. You go in through this, you take out this fret, you go in and you steam it. You're steaming it out. You're going to loosen up the glue until you get the neck out of its pocket. And you can see the pocket right there. And when you do that, you're going to get the neck out, and the neck and the body sit and they dry. Dum-de-dum-dum. About 10 weeks till it's really dry. And then you put the neck back in the body and you put it back up. And that brings the guitar closer. It's really common. A guitar neck set is done roughly every 20 years. I've seen 60-year-old guitars that don't need neck sets. And I've seen guitars that are about 10 years old and need neck sets. Why? Because it's left in the attic. It's left in heat. You put heavy strings on it and you leave it tuned to pitch. You want to loosen up the strings, not so they're completely slack like this shoestring. You want to loosen them up so they're pitched down when you store them. If they're stored improperly, they're going to add too much pressure and they're going to pull in and fall away from the line, and your geometry is off. I will say this, when you get your geometry right and you get the neck set done, you can bring the saddle up and you've got a nice sharp angle, and sometimes it's easiest to see on a violin where this is. And you can see these angles come down here and these angles are here. Your vibrating surface area is from the bridge to the nut, and that is the live action of the string. All of this, if it's at a steep angle, makes it stiffer. If you raise it up a little bit, it makes it looser. We've talked about this. Your Les Paul has an adjustable bridge to loosen or tighten the strings. But see that action? See how far away it is from the bridge? From the fretboard? That's a pretty good action. A lot of times, especially on older Martins and Gibsons, your action on an older guitar is going to be a little bit higher. But it's not high. It's just that you're going to get a little more of the breaking action after the saddle, like this, if the saddle's tall. And, of course, your headstock is pitched back, so that gives you that. But when you're dealing with vintage guitars, this is a 1943 Gibson Southern Jumbo. No binding on the neck. older guitars typically have a slightly higher action from the factory. I'm old enough to remember when these were 40 years ago, when I was dealing guitars like this 40 years ago. You'd notice that some of these older guitars right from the factory had relatively high action. If you lower the action a little bit, and this needs a minor adjustment to get it down, these older guitars tend to be a little high. And the reason for that is your string goes in an elliptical fashion, and it's also doing a wave pattern, and if it has lots of room to clear, it will be a louder instrument. If you have a more modern guitar with a more modern action, it's easier to play up here, but they just don't have, there's a real grumble to it. So that's it. I'm trying to keep this under 5 minutes. I bet I've gone over, but I want to talk a little bit about neck sets. You bring in an old guitar, you're going to find that dealers will look like this, and then they'll look like this, and if the saddle's all the way down, as you're out there looking at guitars, but the action is still a little bit high, then it's likely you got to talk about a neck set, and we can do that. All right, that's it for now. That's all for our lecture series, and go ahead, on to class, go to the next class, bell's ringing, see you later.